Okay, howdy tubers again. Well, I put that video that I just did. It's downloading now, so we will get to the topic that this guy in it, like I say, he was either in United Kingdom or something Republic. Anyways, we'll get to it. First thing is, I sure like using a roper punch. Now, I got it from Harbor Freight 10 years ago, and when I went up to buy them, because they said it was $19.95, when I went up to buy them, it was 14 cents. So I went back and got a couple more, and I went back the next day and got a few more and gave them away for presents. Yeah, I'm cheap. Anyway, and I keep one set up for 3/16, one set up for 1/8, and one set up for 3/32, and just, well, you don't wear out near as many drill bits, and it's a round hole, and no shavings. So there's some pluses there. And I also have a Harbor Freight 4-foot brake, and that's worked extremely well for Harbor Freight. And I also have, now I didn't have this when I built the Ultra Cruiser, and that would have saved me maybe a week if I would have had this. This is called a Rivet Squeezer. And then, of course, this is attachments, I guess you'd say, for the Rivet Squeezer. There's different rivet sets, but then you also can dimple, like there's for a 3/32 for dimpling your skins. There's one for an 1/8 inch. Of course, that was a female. This is the male, and this is for an 1/8 inch dimple, which you won't need on your guys' airplanes. And then, of course, these are ones I made. It's you put it in a rivet gun and squeeze it, but I made this. They are available. You can buy them, but you'll need the 3/32 one, which if I can dig through here and find the male end of that might be it right there. Yeah, and that goes in there, and that's so you can, and you will need this on the Ultra Cruiser too, but that's for putting, of course, when I made a new cowling, I thought, I'm getting rid of a few of these cam locks, because, man, it was just too many. So that's why it looks like that. But it's handy to show you what the dimpling tool is for, and that's to dimple these holes here for the countersunk rivets to go in there, like here. Now, that's the other thing. Of course, that's a Rivet Squeezer tool, and for doing the dimpling, I like using the solid rivets and the 3/32 solid countersunk rivets, because I'm just not real thrilled about the aluminum ones that you can get. And now I know the steel ones, that they call them G29 rivets, that at least that's what they call them in the Air Force, that goes in the nut plate. They are the ones from Air Parts. They're 35 cents a piece for those pull-through G29 rivets. Well, you can buy a bag of 3/32 rivets for like $3.50, and there's probably, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 or something in there. So, I mean, that's just a lot better deal. And they hold better, I believe. So, okay, let's get on to different tools. These are Harbor Freight 10 Snips. They're aluminum, so they're really pretty light, but of course got steel jaws, and those have worked flawlessly since, because I built the Ultra Cruiser with it, and the H5, and These are a little handy. I don't know what to call them, flanging tool or something. Of course, you'll need a rivet gun, but also, hopefully, everybody has air, and so you can use this one. I got BH on there for button head, and then my other one is right there. And here's the box I had when I was in the Air Force that I took out on the flight line. So anyways, yeah, of course you'll still need a hand rivet gun at some point, because there are some rivets there, I believe, like right in here were a little hard to get with. Whoop, let me get the camera down there. A little hard to get to with the air rivet gun. So that's another reason for the hand rivet gun. I've got this here, but I bought this way before I bought probably had thought about building the Ultra Cruiser. But anyways, I bought this for other things. But it's a Harbor Freight 30-inch slip roller, brake, and shear. And I've also got a 12-inch one too that I'll show you. And I've also got this. Of course, everything's in its place here. So, but this is a 4-foot shear that I went with a friend of mine that was going to buy it, and we got there, and he kept saying on the way there, look at it, because it's been dropped and broke or whatever. And so I was looking at it and seeing all these welds on it. I mean, the thing was probably dropped or something and broke, but I seen cracks up here. And the guy wanted $400 for it, and the friend of mine, who's Phil, he went up and told him that it had new cracks in it, and so he said, "Well, I'll take three. I'll take $200 for it." And Phil said, "Yeah, he didn't want it." So I didn't have the money with me; I had it at home, and so I told Phil, "Well, I'll take it." So I brought it home and welded it up, and then I put wheels on it, which makes it very handy, because I just roll it back, and then I can roll it right back up here to put the car in here. So I didn't have it when I built the Ultra Cruiser. So that's something you don't have to build the Ultra Cruiser, but it makes it a lot easier. Now, I'm talking about the guys that are building from scratch. If you're building from a kit, there's a lot of these tools you don't need. So you don't need to have the brake if you're building from the kit. But I prefer building from scratch. So now we'll get into more tools, because I'll probably think of some other. You see, I keep everything immaculate. I know where everything is. Not. I did buy a Harbor Freight TIG welder. Of course, it wasn't until I got home that I found out it does not do aluminum. It's not AC/DC. But it works good on the chrome moly parts. And there's Spiker. He's around, aren't you? So let's see. A bandsaw is definitely handy, which I already had it when I built the Ultra Cruiser. I didn't have this drill press, the Harbor Freight stand-up drill press, but and it comes in handy too. But I did have this combination mill mill. What do they call it? Combination mill and drill, whatever. I did have that when I built the Ultra Cruiser, because that's how I made these that are no longer being used on the H5 because I made some out of chromoly. And of course, air compressor, which I had that before too. That's an 80-gallon upright. And if you can see, there's a door there with a rack screwed to it. That opens, and there's a 60-gallon tank in there. So I've got a lot of capacity. And a Harbor Freight lathe that I've had way before I built the Ultra Cruiser, or the H5, of course. And that came in extremely handy on making these. I call it the, see if I can find one that's not, and something, there we go. Here's one that's been used, but it's making these, which are your push rod inserts. And then, of course, these are for the push rods for the elevator and for the rudder. And so they've got, now, I don't remember what size tubing. I'm going to get down there as you can see. Shoot, I don't remember what size. Let me pause. Okay, that's for the 3/4 inch. I should have measured the wall thickness, but it says on the plans. Anyways, and then you drill and trap that for 1/4 for the heim joints that go in there, rod ends, whatever you want to call them. They call them heim joints in the Air Force. And then, so that come in handy from making these, which if you buy them from Hummel, I'll have to say, I think they're $350 for like 16 of these. And of course, there you've got 1, 2, well, what is there, about 8, or no, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, 8 of these that are for 1/2 inch tubing that are for your ailerons, and they can all be made on here, but I think they're like $250 if you buy them from Hummel, but you can buy the material if you've already got your lathe. You can buy the material for about $6 and make them yourself. And what much more fun is that? And I also got a Smithy lathe. Well, lathe and mill combination, but that's why I bought this mill, because it was just a hassle changing from a lathe to a mill, back to a lathe. So, and then here's the 12-inch. Same thing, slip roller, brake, and shear. But now here is the most useful tool on the market, bar none. And I call it, when I used it up at Hummel, because on the Ultra Cruiser, I sanded every part, the edge of it with this emery cloth. I bought it in a roll. I sanded all the edges of all those parts with that. But this here, I call it the miracle wheel. It's called a Norton convolute wheel. And you need to call Terry at Hummel to get the right number, because I didn't write it down and it's all messed up on there now, so I don't know. Oh, well, wait, there's a number there for you, maybe. Maybe. Let's see if I turn the light on. Will that help? Well, I don't know if that helps you or not. Maybe I'll get you close. I'll keep it on there for a little bit. Boy, it's going to be a long video. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's absolutely a have to have, that is. Now, of course, I machined me an arbor to work with this. I believe I got it out of a washing machine or dryer or whatever, I don't know. But, and then made the adapter thing, like I said, the adapter arbor to put on here so I can put put that on there, but it's not. Now, Terry, they have one on each side, and they've got it mounted on a pedestal, which is also real nice. And I also got this Harbor Freight little 1-inch belt sander, which it comes in handy. Now, it has a table that goes on there, but that kind of gets in your way. Oh, here it is. It kind of gets in your way, so I took it off. And I had it when I built the Ultra Cruiser. And I had this belt sander too. I can't say that I believe I probably used this. Now this is a Craftsman, which you can't get anymore, of course, and can't find parts, or the parts I had to get for it one time. They said that's all there is of them. Anyways, that was handy for sanding the bulkhead forms that I made, or actually for any of the forms I made, because I made all the forms for the rudder and the elevator and the stabilizer and the fin and all that. I made all those forms. Now, this here is a Harbor Freight Oscillating Spindle sander, which I didn't have it when I built the Ultra Cruiser, but that's also nice to use too, and works very good for Harbor Freight, or I haven't had a lick of trouble out of it. So let me pause and I'll think about other tools. Okay, well, here's a little Black & Decker, I believe, table saw that when making my landing gear on the Ultra Cruiser, the triangular plates in there that are aluminum, I believe are like 1/8 inch aluminum, and I imagine I could have cut them out on bandsaw, but I guess I might have been having trouble with a blade, or I don't know what, but I used a table saw with just a regular old blade in there, and it makes all kinds of racket, but it just cuts right through that 1/8 inch aluminum. I don't remember if it's 1/8 inch or 90 thousandths or what, but it's substantial stuff. But if you can stand the noise, it'll do her. Another tool that is a have to have is, of course, Cleco pliers and Clecos. Now the silver ones for number 40, which is 3/32, and the copper or brass, whatever you want to call it, is number 30 or 1/8 inch. And you'll need probably 400 of the 3/32 and maybe 300 of the 1/8 inch. If you scratch, if you're scratch building, and or, of course, I believe if you're building from the kit. Now, of course, if you're building from the kit, I believe the holes are already laser cut to 1/8 inch, but of course you do have to drill the bulkheads while you're assembling, and the ribs, because you take a red marker and mark the center line of the ribs and the bulkheads before you assemble and then drill them. Anyways, it'll show that on the plans. But let's see if I can think of anything else before I get 20 minutes here. Okay, of course you will to use this, of course, or the air rivet gun. Of course, you're going to need air, and I already told you about my air compressor. Of course, you really don't need anything that big, but if you're going to get one, you might as well. So, anyways, this here is the Rivet Gun, which if you're building it from the kit, you probably don't need this, because the kits, they come with the spars already riveted together. But if you're scratch building, which I recommend, then you'll need a rivet gun and a bucking bar of some kind. I mean, this here probably does pretty much all of it, but there's some places you might need a different style, which all you need is just something heavy and smooth that you can hold in there and get in wherever you need to get into. Let's pause. Well, I guess I could add in there, of course, various types of aviation snips. Of course, cordless drill or corded drill, I guess, and lots of drill bits, 30 and 40, number 30 and number 40 drill bits. At least probably 12 each or something to start out with. That ought to get you going. I see a tap laying over there. Anyways, sorry such a long video, but I hope it was informative enough for you. And there you go, and God bless.